interviewer can ask you to go a little bit details on a particular component. So today we can discuss on application like say Netflix or like YouTube. So I mean, let me just explain you the system so that you can understand what I exactly expecting from you. So
Hmm.
you need to design a system such that I mean, you have to think from the user's perspective. So there might be some admin module, and you need not to worry about that module for this kind of discussion. So yeah, so
Hmm.
better you can take it note. Yes, yes.
Okay.
So this system, what it will do, like the admin will upload different kinds of videos, so movies or any kind of videos.
Hmm.
So as a user, what you need to do is basically you need to register in this application, and you can search it, you can watch it, or like it's similar to like YouTube or Netflix. Okay. um,
Okay.
um, okay, so this is very broad level of requirement, uh, and also like there are different feature in YouTube, right? So say for example you are watching a video, and all of a sudden, like on the half of the in between, like left the video, and you have gone for some other work or something like that. And if you want if you open this application again after coming back, so it should also have to resume from the place where you left the last time. So this
Okay.
kind of feature also you need to take care of this app in design.
Okay. Mm, okay. Last. So we need to have a record of last watch time, I would call it for
Mm-hmm.
now. And okay. So okay. So I have collected these requirements. So we need to think about basically how the user will register to our platform, how he will upload videos, how we'll search and watch these videos, and how we'll like basically, let's say he jumps over to, like, he stops watching a video, comes back. So basically how we resume his video from the last watched spot on that
Mm-hmm.
particular video. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so these are the four features that we would want to explore in this. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so in terms of technical requirements, I'll try to translate these in terms of technical requirements. What our system should look like in terms of technical requirements. What our system should look like. So our system should obviously have low latency, such that our video does not buffer for very long. So we need to have a very low level of latency. And since we are supporting low level of latency, we might want to like, since different people might have different bandwidths, so we might want to support different kinds of bandwidths on our system, right?
Okay. So how you are going to do that? Like say for example, your network speed is really high and my network speed is not that good. So
Hmm.
how your system, like the same application, in your maybe in your laptop or mobile or any device, and in same application in my device. So how you are going to differentiate, or like how you are going to design this thing, like so that it will work differently in different app and different machine?
So we can basically do one thing we can do is, first thing that comes to my mind, different level of resolutions when we are sending. So let's say I have a low bandwidth, so I'll get videos at 240 pixels, 240p, and you might be getting that same video in HD if you have the higher bandwidth. In that way, at least user by default, so at least users gets access to the video, may not be continuously they are able to stream videos. They do not have much of a buffer time over there.
Okay. And okay, I understood your concept, but also think about the database part also. Like, for example, if you have a video, say maybe for a particular video, say 5 GB, okay,
Hmm.
so that might have very high resolution. Say maybe for 1 hour video, 5 GB is very high resolution. So if you want to send in different resolution, so in that case, think I'm just giving you the
Hmm.
point, like how you are going to save the uh, data into the database. Okay,
Okay.
it might be you want to save different format on the same movie into multiple location or multiple file names. Say for example, say movie XYZ, so this is say 720p or something like resolution, or so same movie you will be having like more resolution or like low, or like in the same video how can we make it more or less resolution. So you just also concentrate on that part as well.
Okay. So for that part, like since I don't think real time conversion of videos. Let's say I store a video for 5 GB, and then at that point I start converting that video. Like let's say a low bandwidth user comes in, so that conversion in real time might not be possible. So we'd probably go about whenever the video is uploaded. So let's say we support 30 so let's say we support five different kind of resolution. So we break that video into five different resolution and store that on our database.
Okay. Don't you think like to support people who are having lesser bandwidth, so you are you are wasting your server space maybe.
uh, that might be the business decision to make. So let's say in a country like India, okay, so we might be like we have a ton of bunch of user but have lower bandwidth, but it's because we have bunch of user we can probably serve them high number of ads and everything. So that comes off as a trade off, like we'll have to, that becomes, I think, looking at the business statistics, does this make sense for us to support lower bandwidth videos on our on for a particular file, or for a particular, or for a, let's say on we can go about use video by video case, that okay, are these kind of let's say particular kind of a video are being watched in a particular user, but do they generate sufficient enough revenue for these to be
I
performed
understood.
on a
Yeah,
database?
yeah. I
Yes.
got your point. I got it. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead. I mean,
Hmm.
just I thought of sharing with you this point. So,
Hmm.
please go ahead. Yeah, I got your
Okay.
point.
So yeah, so low latency is one thing on different bandwidths. Is the one thing that comes to my mind. Then mm, what else? What else in terms of technical? Our service should be obviously highly available, so that people have content available to them at all most of the time, and since we are going to be like, since it's a service like a YouTube or Netflix, so it's going to be, we are going to store very huge video data, like we are gonna store media, so it's gonna be very huge amount of data like we discussed. So the storage part should specifically be highly scalable, and in fact the serving part also should be scalable, media serving and everything.
Hmm.
So we need it to be scalable for sure. What else should can we explore on this front? Hmm. I think, from user's point of view, so store last watch time, consistency. I don't think, consistency is that much reliable. So I don't think we require a very highly consistent system. Since let's say I upload a video, if it's not available to all the users in, let's say, next 2 to 3 minutes, it takes time to process and everything. So I don't think that might be an issue. They might get a video 2 or 3 minute late, so I don't
Hmm.
think that would be an issue all around. So I think consistency is not something we might need in this particular system. So I think, yeah, in terms of technical requirements, I'm done. Would you want me to explore anything else over here?
Yeah, yeah, right. So, do you know what is load balancing?
Yep.
Okay. So, do you want to consider that as well here?
Yeah, definitely. Like since we have a scalable system, so we'll have go about having multiple instances of a server, and multiple instances of, let's say, upload service or streaming service, and probably those sit behind some sort of load balancer for
Mm.
us.
Okay, okay. So, you want to consider that as well, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Say for example, in what happens like if some new movies are releasing, and very first day that I mean many people will try to access those, right? So but
Hmm.
that load might not exist maybe after 1 month or something like that. But and like first day first, or I mean like
Hmm.
so your application should be strong enough to to serve all the users. It's not like systems are crashing. So this is the
Hmm.
another point.
Okay, so our service should support auto scaling, the such that if
Yep.
it's seeing, so it should support auto scaling, and probably what we can do is, let's say, okay, for supporting auto scaling, we might want to, let's say, monitor capacity of all our existing server instances, and if we are like at, let's say, at 70% capacity, or
Hmm.
maybe we cross certain number of threshold over the connections, let's say our server generally supports 1 million connection, but right now it's let's say it's start seeing can support until 1 million connection. Generally it sees a half a million connection, but half a million connection, but as soon as it starts seeing 0.8 million connection, let's say 800,000 connections, so 800,000 requests, so yeah, streaming requests, so we probably spawn up more instances of those, or we scale up our streaming service, or maybe all those things. And also like the things like these could be supported by, since a new movie is coming up or all those things, so things like these could also be supported by CDNs, definitely, since we have a media to be streamed, available, media to be distributed across different places. So we could probably go about using CDNs, so that, so this scaling so this kind of a certain level of scaling could also be the serving part of the scaling could also be handled by the CDNs itself.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would just call, so on our end we might require server auto scaling, and
Hmm.
also on CDN level we might require CDN. The CDN would be third party service provider. So I think, I'm not sure entirely, but I think CDN do support, might probably support auto scaling on their part also.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
And apart from that, do you want to consider anything?
I think, yeah, this looks good to me for now.
Okay. One more point I just want to mention. Say, for example, you are designing an application that will try to retrieve huge amount of data from the database, right?
Hmm.
And so whatever user will get the data, so it will be served through some services, right?
Hmm.
So you will be writing some services, those services. So do you think any necessary I mean necessity of writing any kind of caching techniques? Say
Yeah,
for example.
definitely. You go ahead.
Yeah, because if there are some movies, very popular movie, you are also trying to watch, or many other people, even I am also trying. So in that case, services will go to hit the database always, or like there will be some other mechanism like, I mean, we can do some kind of caching technique so that every time I need not to go to the DB to pull the data, rather than pulling this data, I can supply there.
Definitely we can go about using caches over here when we have let's say a movie becomes insanely popular just in a matter of time, and maybe CDN takes some time to pick up that particular movie. So
Mhm.
meanwhile we might be serving it from our servers itself, so meanwhile we might want to cache those particular data until and unless CDN gets updated with those contents.
Mhm. Okay, good, good. Go ahead. Understood your point.
Okay, so yeah. And okay, so are we? So should I go about exploring? The next thing we can explore is maybe APIs that we might want to expose for this.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so let's say we have an a slash upload slash post upload API. So what this API could basically in input, it could take things like all the metadata of the yeah. So in input it could take mm, yeah, in input it would take metadata of the video. and probably return you. So how I'm envisioning this, and probably in return it could give you a link to, let's say, our blob storage. So we'll probably be storing these somewhere in the service like S3 or someplace. So we probably store it somewhere there, and so we give them a link to the metadata service, sorry, our blob storage, where they where the user client could upload this particular video, and he directly uploads it to the storage, object storage that we store this video in. So we have a post upload video, then we might have what then the other thing we might have, let's say, get some video id. I will just call it get video, and then slash, yeah, video id I would call it. So this gives you, let's say, this fetches you all the metadata of that particular video, and also where do you need to get this particular content from. So maybe it could be a link to the cdn itself, or maybe it could be synced to the link to the blob storage blob storage itself, or maybe some, or maybe we have some server that basically serve this particular file. So also could be a link to that also. These could, yeah. So output we have metadata and the mm, link to the link to the video. So our front end should ideally be designed in such a way that it fetches this video in either in kind like, in kind of a I usually these videos are fetched in chunks, right? Like when you see YouTube, so you see you get a video for next 2 minutes, then you get video for next, let's say, 20 second, then it loads video for the next another 20 second. This is how it keeps loading the video to your browser. So I
Mhm.
think we have a so these two. Do you want me to explore any other things in these per two APIs?
So for searching, so which API you will be using?
Yeah. Okay. So we have, let's say, we have search API also. So what we do over here is get yeah. Let's say we have a get endpoint that basically video slash search. Then we have search keyword as search keyword as param, and it basically it might send you a list of json. It might send you a list of json on that list of json of all the video objects, so that might contain metadata, a link to the thumbnail of those videos, and all those things might be there in a single json object, and you get a list of json objects that are relevant to the particular search query.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. Mm, okay. And so we have so also, do you want me to explore the register functionality, how a user registers to the upper?
Yeah. I mean, like upload video part is fine because there might be a restriction only the admin can upload. So that is what I told you. Like, so that part, I mean, for time being, you can, I don't want to go dig, details on that. But register, search, and other functionality is important. I mean, think from the user's perspective. Don't think
Hmm.
too much about the admin perspective. So
Okay,
admin,
okay,
that functionality is okay.
okay. So we need to have a register endpoint. So let's say we have an endpoint. Let's say post user slash register, which takes in all your information. Let's say. Let's say name, email id, and all those things are taken up by this uh, particular particular endpoint, and it registers you as a user. Probably triggers email verification. This also, let's say, triggers after you are done with providing all the details. It triggers a verification email, and or also verification email might be triggered by this particular service, this particular endpoint. And what else can we be exploring? I think, yeah, from the register endpoint, I think we just take in name, email, and the password, and we take in this basic information, and we verify that particular user, and I think we should be good to go. Also, we are now right now we are done with the authentication. Do you want to explore authorization also for this?
Mm, yeah, I mean, and that part is fine as of now. That's okay. I mean, I know like you will be able to do that. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. So yeah, all these endpoints like get and get video ID, get video search might be, let's say if we are designing a Netflix kind of a system, so we might only allow authorized user with some token or something to
Mhm.
access those things. Okay, so I'll share for the so should we explore the high level design now?
Yeah, yeah. Can you, yeah, go for the high level? Yes.
So mm, I'll just start with the why does this not let me upload anything software. Let me just add the icons over here. This takes me to newer. Okay, cool. I do not need icons. I'll just draw all those things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, drawing part is fine. I mean, somehow if you can manage, that is okay. I mean, you need not to
Hmm.
draw in the proper shape and all. So
Yeah.
that's okay.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. Okay. So let's say I start with the I start with the what was the first API that we had over here was wait, did the whole thing vanish away? No, okay. So the first API that we had on our hand was the upload API. Sorry, not the upload. So we are ignoring the upload part for now. We are the first API that we have right now is the register user API, right?
okay.
So let's say we have a user. Yeah, we have a user service. User probably we have a user service over here. Let's say mhm, yeah, user talks to I'll just yeah, we have a user service, so he sends the request to register himself. So this user service probably yeah, adds his entry to the to an rdbms based database. So
So user service means you mean to say like registration, right?
registration service. So this
Okay.
handles all the user related. Let's say you need to pull up a profile or any of a user or maybe any other thing. So all these things are handled by the user service. So that right now for our use case, it's handling the registration.
Okay. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Register endpoint slash. I just mention slash register. Okay, so this endpoint user service and this adds an entry to the mm, this adds an entry to the database. Mm, where okay, I'll just use this as a to represent databases. So this adds it to the yeah, we have, let's say for now I'll just go with single user database only, not different databases. So we
Mhm.
have this simple flow. Do you or if we might want to authorize a register like verify a user further, verify his email address. So do you want me to explore that part? How do we
No, no,
verify?
no. I'm more concentrated about like searching the video and I want to watch the video. I mean, most of the
Okay.
cases people used to do that, right? So
Okay, good.
yeah.
So let's go with the searching a video. So we have, let's say, for now, I'll call this search search video service. So what this does is basically what we can do is get this connected to, since we might want a fuzzy search kind of a thing, we might not want to do exact search. Let's say I type in pre-place, but I do not type, I skip R in this somehow. So I still want to show people result for the preplace.com, right? All the videos uploaded by this channel. So I probably don't want to do exact search. So in maybe if I would have exactly gone for this, so I would have probably gone for something like if I was gonna go for exact search, so on database I would probably gone have gone like okay, where title like pre-placed or username like pre-placed, so username like pre-placed, so searching on those. But since I want to do a fuzzy search, so what I can do is I can use a service like elastic cache, sorry, elasticsearch, and based on elasticsearch I could probably get all the relevant entries. Yeah, I could probably use a service like elasticsearch for that.
So very quickly, like how Elasticsearch works?
So
Maybe in
elastic Yeah,
one two
sure.
minutes.
Yeah, sure. So how Elasticsearch works is basically, let's say you want to associate a table entry in your an ID in your database with few of the keywords. So let's say you put in you let's say that's a video ID that you have. Let's say you store video ID in your database and you want to associate that video ID few of the keywords. So those could be like title and the username of the video, it's username of the uploader, all those things. So you give Elasticsearch, okay, whenever you uses something, gives something close to these particular, so these are the string or the keywords, and whenever user searches for searching for something close to this, basically does a fuzzy search for this. So fine, return me this particular video ID, and probably I then on that basis I can query my database and give user that those particular uh, give user that particular um, that I then I'll know what information to serve to user.
Okay, okay, makes sense.
Okay, so I'll connect it to a service like mm, yeah, I'll connect it to a service like Elasticsearch. So this is how this works, and probably this Elasticsearch is this Elasticsearch is populated. That we maybe whenever we are uploading a video, so after the upload is done, we tell the Elasticsearch, okay, a new video was uploaded. These are the keyword for this particular video, and you and Elasticsearch stores it in its own data store. So this is how we might deal with the search. So after we get information from the, let's say, Elasticsearch, so after we get information from the Elasticsearch, we contact database, and based on the database we can probably send return to the user all the metadata information. So okay, for the now, let's say we did the search on the video. So Elasticsearch returned us 10 list, okay, list of 10 videos, 10
So will there be any connection between Elasticsearch service to database, or like it will be a search service to database?
no. It will be Elasticsearch service. So connection to in terms of search, there won't be direct connection to Elasticsearch and database. The Elasticsearch will send the data back to the search video service. So the
So
list of
what kind of data it will return to that search service?
it can return a list of video IDs that are relevant to
So
the.
how Elasticsearch service will get all the video, I mean IDs?
So when we stored videos in when we stored keyword and the video ID pairs in the Elasticsearch, so when we uploaded a video, we stored video keywords and the last video ID pairs in
It
the
means,
Elasticsearch.
okay, I understood. So you mean to say Elastic service will maintain its own database to,
Hmm.
okay, so there will be a database and that also has to be updated when the new videos will get uploaded. And
Yeah.
also if something is getting deleted, then also we need to upload the update the Elasticsearch DB, right?
Yes.
I think in that case you can draw a Elasticsearch DB in the right side of the Elasticsearch service. Otherwise, it doesn't make that sense.
Okay. Generally, like Elasticsearch is a AWS provided service. So like, mm, yeah. So I'm not, to be, so like, do they maintain, like, what is the data store they use? Is it a SQL database or what they use behind the back? So they generally expose APIs to update. I think this is how this might work. They might expose APIs to update basically key value pairs, key value pairs on their data store for
Okay,
enabling
okay.
searching. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, okay, I have added a database over here, so I'll just call that elastic search db. Okay, so there is that, so I have called it elasticsearch db. Then yeah, what else? So yeah, this gives me back a list of all the relevant video IDs, and I can query my database for the database data of these video IDs. Probably what I can do is, if I can probably add a cache over here, so that I don't have to go about like if a video search is coming up quite too often on all those things, so I don't have to query the
Okay. So, how you will update the cache? I want to know about your logic. Like, say, a cache will be, it has a limited memory, right?
yeah.
So it may not, it may not save all the, things that user is searching. So, what will be your logic to update the cache?
One thing we can do is like a general strategy that I quite often use is have evict all the least recently used. So we can have an Lario based cache, like if a entry hasn't been used in a while. So okay, so if we fill up the DB, so whatever the least recently used entry for this was, we evict that entry. Or we could probably, like, if we do not want to do that, because the second option, we could probably have a time limit set on these results. So in case, let's say, we have a 1 hour of time TTL available to all the values in the cache.
Okay,
So I,
and one more point here.
hmm,
Say, for example, you want to, you have deleted that record from the DB.
hmm.
So in that case, that record might be in the cache, but it is not in the DB. So how that is going to work?
So we should have like this mechanism whenever we are deleting a record from the database. So we should ideally delete it from the cache first, and then go about deleting it from the cache, rather than deleting it from the database directly.
Mhm. Okay. So here basically we are creating a dependency, right? So we need to first delete the cache and then we need to delete the database, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we have a cache over here from a user service database. Then we have a cache. We have a search video service. Okay, so from the searching part, I think then this goes to the let's say user, and probably user. This is all the result goes to the user's front end. And you saying something?
No, no, no. You go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. And probably so this might have links to the thumbnails of the video, and yeah, maybe short clippings of those short clipping, like 10-second clippings of those video. So when you hover over those icons and you see them running, so then these could also be probably stored at a service called like something like CDN. So I'll just yeah, so links to those can be available to go and fetch it from the CDN service itself. So yeah, and okay, so I'm with this part, I think for the searching flow I am done.
Anything you are left with? Can you check
Uh,
the requirement? Like whatever you have noted it down?
okay, but I think as soon as I stop, I think as soon as I go out of the screen, I might lose all the progress
Oh,
that.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I.
I got it. So, okay. So the reason I was asking is basically I want to know your views, how you want to do like that resume things, right? Say, for
I
example, you have watched 10 minutes of a video.
hmm.
Next time, this video should start from 10 minutes only. So, how you are going to do that? So that part is missing here, right?
Okay. So I'll just add the quickly, like we are done with the search video part. So view video part, I'll just go quickly over, and then we can add that functionality after we are done with the
Sure,
view video part.
sure.
Okay. Okay. So let's say I get a request for viewing a video, and here I am. So I add a service over here that is basically handles all the viewing. Yeah, yeah. We call this serve video service. Okay, so this, as soon as you get a link to a particular video, you probably get all the metadata for it from the cache, cache DB combination. And when you are done with that, so you probably send that information back to the user, and they start fetching that information from the CDN itself. Now how are we going to update the last seen timestamp of a particular video? Okay, so last video was for a particular video. So when a user is watching a video, there are two options here. So either we can have a continuous polling mechanism, okay, this, or we can have a WebSocket open, since it's gonna be a continuous communication, that okay, I'm watching this particular video, I have watched this particular video. And also one thing I have want to ask over here, does this have to be entire, like exactly accurate? Let's say if I stop the video at 10 minute 48 seconds, so it should resume back from the 10 minute 48 second, or it should be in the some time windows, like let's say okay, within 10 seconds time window. Let's say if I stopped watching at 10 minute 48 seconds, so I have time windows of 10 seconds, so I probably serve it from the whenever he resumes watching
That's
back.
okay. I mean, like within 10 seconds plus minus thing, that is okay. But 10 seconds should not start from like 20. Sorry, I mean 10. If you have watched like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, so it should not start like 5 minutes or like 30 minutes or 40 minutes. So
Hmm.
10 second plus minus, that time is fine. That is okay.
Okay,
Acceptable.
cool. So yeah, so let's say whenever a user is watching a video, he also I'll just add a new service over here. Time last watched tracker service. Call this last watch tracker service. So whenever a user is watching a video, so we have a WebSocket connection open here. uh, for the duration he is watching a video, WebSocket connection open here with the users, because we need continuous communication from his end. And let's say after every 5 second, this the front end keeps updating, sends a heartbeat kind of a thing. Every 5 second, okay, this is the user has watched until let's say 10 minutes 5 second right now. Okay, 10 minutes 10 seconds right now, 10 minutes 15 seconds right now. So he keeps sending heartbeats in every 5 minutes over this WebSocket, and we go and store this information in, let's say, some sort of yeah, I think we can yeah, in database itself. And so database could have things like this, database could probably have things like video ID, user ID, and the last seen timestamp for that particular video. So in that way we can store this particular video's time last seen timestamp. And as soon as we stop get so whenever we keep updating this entry in the database, and whenever we are serving a particular video, we also make a query to this particular when the serve video service makes a query to, let's say, user stopped watching it 10 minutes 48 seconds. So last heartbeat at was at 10 minutes 45 seconds. So let's say so whenever user comes back with this particular link, comes back to this particular link, so serve video service queries with this particular video ID and the user ID, and checks if that combination exists in our this last voice tracker database. And if that particular combination exists, then it picks up that particular video.
Aditya, so I understood your point, like how you are
Hmm.
going to implement this. So don't you think like say application like Netflix or like YouTube, there are millions and billions of videos, right?
Hmm.
And users also like billions of users.
Hmm.
And if you see the history, maybe I have watched say 1,000 video in last 1 year, okay? And I might not be completing. So actually, what you are saying, like say I have say a number of videos and say and some other user, and that user might have different was different video in different time slots. So it means like for a one video I
Hmm.
might have like millions of record, like say for
Hmm.
example user 1, user 2, user 3, like this. And
Hmm.
every I have to maintain for particular single video I'm talking about, I have to maintain, okay, this user one has watched say maybe 10 minutes,
Hmm.
user 2 has watched like say 20 minutes. So it will be like a millions of record for a particular single video, and this video itself is like maybe few billions.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
do you think this is a good approach? Did you get my
Mhm.
point, what I mean to say?
Yes, yes, I see that we might have to store a ton of data for a very small problem. So we might want to explore another thing. So what about, like, is it a fine, like, okay, so I just wanted to ask, let's say am watching this video currently on my laptop, and I go, so do we
That
have
is
like,
what my you got my point. And that, Aditya, so whatever you are telling, no, that
hmm,
was my second question. Suppose, for example, first time in the morning you have watched from your mobile phones, okay, and in the night when you are coming back from the office, maybe now you have watched your like you are watching from your laptop. So this
hmm,
might not be the same device. Like if you want to implement some caching in the client side, maybe say for example you want to maintain some kind of small caching database in term user specific thing, that
hmm,
might not work if it is a client specific, right?
hmm,
Understood. So it has to be client specific data, but it has to save somewhere in the server, so that
okay,
next time if you log in for the when you log in from different device, so it will be in sync. I
hmm,
mean,
hmm,
it should not be saved in the client side, but it should be saved in the server side, but the data should be client specific. I mean, your data and my data should be separate, right? It should not it should not come together. That is what my point is.
okay,
You
got,
understood, right?
yeah, okay, got it. So basically, let's say if I have different devices, they should be in sync first of all. Okay, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So if I have to keep it in sync, so like you said, it has to be stored somewhere in server. It can't be stored in, let's say, browser cache or somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You understood the reason
Hmm.
also, right?
Yep, I understood the reason. So maybe we could have an eviction policy on this also. Let's say if it's like the if you watch this video more than 30, let's say 30 days ago, so we won't store this particular data in this particular in our database itself. We evict all the data or archive maybe this particular data, some archive lesser more than
Yeah, I
30.
mean, like the thing is like you need not to worry about like big database. Maybe what we can do is like we can maintain a XML file kind of thing as kind of settings file to each and every user specific, and that has to saved in the like you have already written like the user service and there is some database, right? So
Hmm.
you are maintaining. Say for you are I mean you are a user, so you are maintaining your username, password, and all the user specific data. So there you can also maintain a user specific say settings file or like XML file or anything, whatever way you can do. So every time you log in, you can see what is the specific settings file for this particular user, and you can mention, okay, this is my video ID and this is the timestamp that I have watched. So this way you can achieve this, and once you log in from the n number of device, all the device will get the same settings file, right?
Hmm. But like, wouldn't this be like, let's say I have watched over the past 1 year or so, I've watched more than 5,000 or 10,000, definitely 10,000 videos. So the XML file will have to search through all the 10,000 entry and
Not necessary. They actually say, for example, it might not be the ideal case like 10,000 video or like say 1 million video you have watched. So that might be possible, but all the videos you need not to mention, like say for example, all videos you are not keeping it like in middle of something. So if
hmm,
you, even if you are doing this, then whatever you said, like based on some policy,
hmm,
maybe if you have watched some video, maybe say more than 6 months before, then you can clean up. I mean,
okay,
you can write some kind of cleanup service so that it can search those settings file and it can remove. But
okay,
that
got it.
depends on like what is the requirement and how you want to trade off, right? So if some people can say, okay, I don't want to lose any data, even if it is 6 months, 1 year, I don't mind. So in that case, you can keep on saving this. Otherwise, depends on the system requirement, what is your hardware capability and all these things, right?
Okay, got it. So we would because we have a lot of data over here, so we would prefer to store it as a document rather than using expensive database storage for
Mhm.
this. Okay, got it. Okay.
I think you have covered almost everything that what we have discussed, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like your overall system design knowledge is really good. So, yeah, uh, maybe whatever we have discussed so far in last say maybe 50 minutes. So, apart from that, in some time, the interviewer can ask you to go a little bit details on a particular component. Say, for example, I want to go details for the search service. So, how this will work. So, in that case, how you are writing this API, then you have to
Hmm.
go little bit deep in terms of how this API, if how you are going to design this API, what are all thing will be passing, how it will, what it will response back in terms of JSON or anything, and how we are going to do that. And sometimes some interviewer expect you to write some kind of class diagram. I mean, that is very rare case, but I have seen people are asking. So that part maybe you can look into it, but overall whatever we have discussed, so most of the cases 80% cases you can think like most of the this system design interviews goes like this only.
Okay, got it. Uh, Okay, like previous few interviews weren't this good. Like this went quite smoothly, but generally, like I like do the system design interviews at my level. So I have 3 years of experience right now. Go into things like okay, just discuss specifically how you are gonna make this system fault tolerant, or maybe those thing kind of scenarios, like very specific or technical. Like at a high level, these things might work. But let's say somebody asks me, okay, what if the like how do you make this system fault tolerant and all those things, so those are the places I think sometimes I lag behind. So are those things generally asked at 3 years of work experience?
See, I mean, you cannot control like the interviewer, like what they should ask or they should not ask.
Hmm.
I am also, I'm also in the Microsoft interview panel, so I am also conducting different interview both, data structure and system design. But
Hmm.
you mentioned the valid point, like we as an interviewer, I mean, we should, if you want to really judge a candidate like how good he or she is, so asking some irrelevant question might not be very helpful, right? So
Hmm.
I always consider the years of experience. So below 4 5 years experience, I personally don't expect much from the candidate. So if they have overall this kind of knowledge what I have seen, so I am okay with this in case of if I am taking your actual interview. But
Hmm.
some interviewer I have seen, like they are very particular about this thing, but there are few theoretical question, like as you said, fault tolerance, availability. Say for example, say what should I say for any occasion, like how it happens, like say Diwali time. So for some of the, like say for example, Amazon. So Amazon
Hmm.
application, they used to give some kind of promotion for particular time of the year, right? So maybe 2 3 times some sales are going on, so that time many people will be using that application. So
Hmm.
uh, so how you are going to use this thing, fault tolerance thing, so load balancing, caching, they might even see, I could have asked you like tell me like how Elasticsearch works. So
Hmm.
though you explained like how things work, but still to explain the Elasticsearch, maybe we can spend 1 hour of time, so that could be
Hmm.
also possible. But it doesn't make sense ki I mean uh, like asking someone like who is like even below 5 years of experience to do go in details. I mean, if
Hmm.
you know the term and overall idea like how it works, I think for me it is fine. But most of the cases, even I have seen people are okay. I mean, but in rare cases they might go in details, but that is not very obvious all the cases. That is what I can tell you.
Okay, cool, 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 got it. So from like any like okay, so improvements you told me I could explore like if the interview asks class diagrams and all those things. But okay, well, that is one thing. And any other improvement that you would suggest that I should
Uh,
explore upon?
Yeah, little bit of theoretical part. So whatever, the thing you have drawn and noted it down, that part is fine.
Hmm.
But availability, I mean, some kind of non-functional requirement. So whatever we have drawn is basically the functional requirement, right?
Okay.
So some kind of non-functional requirement. Say, I want my application to be always available. So if it is, or like if the loads, all of a sudden it increase, so it has to, that capable, it has to be, capable enough to serve all the request from. So this kind of thing, how you are going to do this? So that kind of question is very obvious. I mean, people might be asking, say for example, all of a sudden, so your load becomes very high, so how we are going to tackle this? Or
Hmm.
maybe whatever the your backup plan, that also failed. So in that case, what is the alternate? So your application will crash, or like how this thing. So you cannot take all the backups and all the everything. So sometime even the backup will also fail. Like if database crash, so what will happen? So these are some basic theoretical questions. So that you go through, like it is always available in the site, internet and all. So that is why I did not go to that extent. So other than that, whatever you have done as a like 3 years of experience, I think it is good enough. Good enough. You
Okay.